How to stop binging. So I want to talk about a strategy you can use to reduce and ultimately get rid of your binging. And the first thing I want to talk about is that it's a strategy, not a tactic. A tactic is, well, just stop doing it. Don't binge anymore. Not useful, but that's what people tend to say. So I want to talk about the bigger picture and how it's not something that I can just tell you and you just implement it, you never binge again. It's a process so that you can reduce it and get rid of it. All right. So the first thing you want to do is you want to look at the binge as a holistic process, because people have the tendency to look at the binge as the problem, and that's the only problem. So I'll give you an example of what I mean. So many people I work with, they come to me and they say, listen, everything's going great for breakfast and lunch, and then the afternoon and nighttime come and I'm eating everything. I said, well, what are you eating for breakfast and lunch? Nothing. I said, well, there's the problem. You're getting yourself so hungry that by the time you get around food, you're way overeating it. So the first question I always ask people that are struggling with binges is, are you eating enough food? Okay. A little bit of hunger is fine. That's normal when you're losing weight. To feel like you're starving is not, and it's not sustainable, and you're never going to get the results you want if that's what you're doing. So you want to make sure that you're nourishing yourself and that you're not starving. Okay. That's the first thing. The next thing you want to do is you want to start to understand the pattern of binging for you, because I promise you're not binging all day long, all throughout the day. You're binging in very specific situations. And so before you can stop it strategically, you have to understand it. And so what I want you to do is I want you to look at your binging, and I want you to pay attention to four key things. The first one is what time it's happening, time of day or time of week when it's happening. The next one is, where are you at? Right? Where are you at? Are you sitting on the sofa? Are you at the kitchen table? Where are you at when this binging is happening typically? The next one is who's there or who's not there. Sometimes people can trigger it. Sometimes being all alone can trigger it. Notice that. And the final one is your moods. What moods tend to trigger you going into a binge? And you want to start to analyze it and understand it. Okay? The more you understand what's going into your binge, the easier it is to change it. Because again, what most people do is they try and just stop it. But what we want to do is we want to understand it. And the more you can understand it, the more you can focus your energies at solving it. If you're telling yourself, well, I just always binge, that's not true. And now if you're always saying, I just always binge, you're not recognizing what's going on into different binge patterns you have. And when I say patterns, what I mean is, again, you may have a nighttime binge pattern. You might have a going out to restaurants binge pattern. You know what I mean? So again, they're very specific typically. And the more you can understand them, the more you can go to work on resolving them. And that's the final piece, is how do you resolve it? And all I can say to you is this, so good for a short video, is that you're not just going to stop it. You're going to resolve it. That's a key difference. And so as you begin to understand what components need to be there when you're binging, you can start to tweak those. And so if you find on 8 o'clock at night, I tend to sit down and binge when I'm all alone and I'm feeling kind of overwhelmed from the day. All right, so now you have a bunch of things you can work on. You can say, I'm not going to sit on my sofa in front of the TV at 8 o'clock. At 8 o'clock, I'm going to call a friend and talk to them. Maybe that'll change how I feel, and now there's another person. I'm going to make some commitment to go out somewhere at 8 o'clock at night, so I'll be in a different place. So this is the kind of strategic thinking you want to use when you're looking at these binge things, and start working at it. That's the key factor. So often, again, I told you, it's not a tactic of just saying, I'm not going to binge. It's understanding it so that you can be strategic in the solution that you come up with. And coming up with that solution sometimes takes a bit of trial and error. So don't get frustrated. Don't get discouraged. Just stay persistent and pay attention to what's going on. And as you pay attention to it, you're going to come up with some real unique ideas that are going to help you resolve this process. But there's no room for beating yourself up in this spot, because you're using all of your energy to really become aware of how you get yourself to binge. Because I promise you, you are running a very specific subconscious pattern to get yourself to binge when you're doing it, and you're not aware of it. So as you increase that awareness and you go to work on finding solutions to it, you're going to find you gain more control over your binging, and eventually you're able to get rid of it completely. So I hope this helps.